Before we discuss asbestos materials containing asbestos, those that are in our buildings, installations, or cars, it is important for us to consider how much asbestos is in the material, how it is bonded, and what impact it has on our health. It is not entirely true that every asbestos material indeed affects our health in the same way, because depending on the amount of asbestos content in a given material and what it is adjacent to, the impact on our health varies. Every civilized country indeed addresses this issue in its regulations. Here, we have a very important division of asbestos. I am not referring to the mineral used, but rather to the amount of asbestos and the amount of substance that binds it in a given material. Asbestos very rarely occurs in its pure form. Even in the building materials we have, there is usually some content of it. And essentially, the basic division of materials containing asbestos ought to be categorized into two types. The first is hard material, such as metal, and the second is soft material. In the French regulations, it is even stated as brittle as glass. And so, what does that really mean for us? Or how much of that material is there? Let's say, in hard materials, the amount of asbestos is up to 15%. That is the first property. The second property of hard materials is that the rest of the substances, apart from asbestos, is concrete, cement, so we have up to 15% asbestos and the rest is concrete. What does that mean? It means that concrete essentially, as long as it is not damaged, effectively encapsulates the asbestos fibers inside. So concrete is a sufficiently durable and hard material that prevents the asbestos from escaping from these materials unless the material is damaged, whether due to weather conditions or human intervention. If it is slightly damaged, then asbestos fibers escape from those cracks.
Another property of this material is the fact that 1 cubic meter, which is like setting up a cube 1 meter by 1 meter and 1 meter high, would weigh more than a ton, such as approximately in weight. If these three properties match, meaning less than 15% asbestos, the rest is concrete, and 1 cubic meter weighs more than a ton, it is called a hard material. And it is characterized by what I just mentioned, meaning that if it is not damaged, the material does not affect a person in any significant or noticeable way, as the fibers do not release. Even in German regulations, which are very strict in this regard, hard material and work with this material are treated as low-risk work in TRGS 5119. Of course, not all work with hard materials will be low-risk work, but we will address this in the following materials. Now that we know what hard material is, we need to compare it analogously with soft material. And let's draw a comparison with the first group, for instance, meaning soft material will be one that has, in particular, an asbestos content of more than 15%. The substance it is combined with, which is a composite material, is significantly less durable than traditional building materials such as concrete or cement, and 1 cubic meter of this soft material will weigh considerably less than a ton, and then it will be a soft material, so-called soft material, or according to French regulations, brittle. What does this mean for us? The significance is that all materials, of course not all, but we try to standardize them to simplify matters for companies removing asbestos or individuals working in other areas related to asbestos. This is significant because all other materials besides concrete and cement bond asbestos fibers less effectively, which is why it is believed that fibers in so-called soft material will release themselves. An example here is gypsum asbestos boards, or some gypsum asbestos insulation, where asbestos can be released because nothing holds it tightly. With materials where asbestos is bonded with concrete, such as Eternit boards, as long as they are not damaged, the asbestos is contained inside and does not get released, so we do not inhale it. And now, as we are talking about soft materials, let's repeat. More than 15% asbestos. What binds this entire material with asbestos content is less durable than concrete or cement. So it could be gypsum, but it could be many different substances. We will talk about this in the upcoming materials. And a cubic meter, that is a cube, if we arranged a cube 1 meter by 1 meter and 1 meter high, will weigh less than a ton. And then we will classify the material as extremely soft asbestos. And we must remember an important thing, that in soft materials, asbestos can be released even if the material has not been damaged. This is a very important thing, if not the most important of what we have discussed so far, because there is a misconception in public opinion that asbestos is released only when the material is damaged. And that is not true, or one could say it is a half-truth, because this only applies to hard materials, those we discussed, which have less than 15% asbestos, and the rest, that is 85% or more, is concrete. So let's say 85% or more, that is concrete, and then these materials actually do not harm until they are damaged. This asbestos does not harm as long as the asbestos material is not damaged. With soft materials where there is more than 15% asbestos, the binding of this asbestos in the asbestos material is less durable than concrete. And where a cubic meter weighs less than a ton, asbestos can be released spontaneously from these materials. These soft materials also include asbestos ropes, asbestos fabrics, and many other things.